Hello, this is Tom Capshew, and you're listening to my Consciousness Rising YouTube channel. This is episode 20, where we're going to talk about the topography of your potential. I believe that each one of us is a unique expression of the divine, of the creative force of the universe. That the love that created the universe creates each one of us, and we are as unique as our fingerprints. And that uniqueness is illustrated in what I call the topography of potential that's put in to each one of us. We are each preloaded with challenges and skills and purpose. And the skills that we are preloaded with help us, when we activate them and develop them, help us to live our purpose in life. So let me give you an example of that. Just like the topography of landscape in the material world, we have inside of ourselves a topography of potential where we have valleys and hills and mountains. And in our last three episodes, episode 17, 18, and 19, we talked about how to discover, develop, and sing your heart's song, which your heart's song is the highest peak in the mountain range of your topography of potential. So let's talk a little bit about what that looks like and how to find it. So when I was born in the state of Indiana. I grew up in Indiana. And for anybody in the United States that follows sports, you probably know that Indiana is known for basketball. Indiana's often been called the basketball state. The difference between my interest in playing basketball and my ability to play basketball is a good illustration of the topography of potential, and also the noosphere, and how the noosphere can influence us into situations where we try to develop a skill, but it's not in our topography of potential, and so it becomes a very steep learning curve. I grew up loving basketball. I also have learned that my topography of potential put there by my Creator did not give me a lot of skills to play basketball. I played basketball as a child, and I played basketball growing up, and into middle school, and I ended up getting concussions from playing basketball, either playing outside and diving for a ball and hitting my head against a tree, which actually happened, or playing in middle school gym class where one of my classmates, Bob, I'll leave his last name out, was much bigger than me and came down with a rebound with his elbow hitting against the side of my head, which caused a concussion. So I learned early on that my topography of potential included a valley when it came to basketball skills. And so after several of these experiences, I realized that my skill set for playing basketball was not high, and therefore would require an enormous amount of work to match my interest in basketball and my ability to play basketball. Unlike someone like LeBron James, who was born with a mountain in his topography of potential to play basketball. So that's an example of the noosphere. Being raised in Indiana made me interested in basketball and tried to pursue that, but it ended up not being what my purpose and skill set would allow in my life. So let me give you another example of the other side of topography of potential, although LeBron James is a good example of someone with a mountain of topography of potential to play basketball. So another example from my lived experience was when I began to learn about the Japanese practice of Reiki. Reiki is a Japanese healing art that uses life force energy to infuse the client with a high level of what I call light, life, and love. The energy that created the universe, that created every one of us. And it promotes healing and health and movement toward your life's purpose. I learned Reiki from teaching business and ethics at a massage school. And when I learned Reiki, one of the classes that was taught at the massage school, when I first took it, I just fell in love with it. And so I took the second level as soon as I could, and the owner of the massage school, who had hired me to teach business and ethics at the massage school, suggested that I apprentice and offered for me to teach Reiki at the massage school in Iowa. It was an incredible experience for me, and it taught me that I have a mountain of potential in my topography of potential to hold space for other people to heal. And that experience and the practice for more than 20 years of practicing and teaching Reiki has helped me to develop my life's work. So the Creator put within me a topography of potential that did not included as a valley playing basketball, but included as a mountain holding space for healing for my fellow humans. Just as I have a topography of potential, some of which is most likely untapped, even at my age, you have a topography of potential. Mountains and valleys and hills that were put into you by your Creator, that are unique to you, that are a combination that no one on the planet has ever had or will ever have. And your task, if you choose to accept it, is to develop the mountains and the hills, and to recognize the valleys when you find things that are not something that feed you or that are come easy to you. So your experiences through life, you discard the experiences that are not part of your topography of potential, and you embrace and develop those experiences that lead you toward the gifts that you were given by your Creator. And so what we know, or what I believe, is that each one of us, when we're born, have what I call original programming. We've been programmed to have a certain life and develop certain skills, and we are not particularly good at other skills. That's our unique fingerprint put there by our Creator. And when we are socially conditioned, when we get reprogrammed by our environment, by our loving or otherwise caregivers, by the people around us that we trust, we begin to develop a social programming that may or may not support our original programming and the mountains of potential that we have within us. And so part of our task as humans is to start with what I would call, as we're born, we are masterpieces. Over time, our social programming takes us away from our original programming, and we become what I call pieces of work, where we've all got things to work on. And as we work on those things, our goal is, toward the end of our life, is to return to that original masterpiece. So we start off as masterpieces, we become pieces of work, and if we attend to our inner landscape and our connection to Source, then we can eventually find ourselves as masterpieces. So for you today, my wish for you is to take some time to think about what you were when you were born. You have no memory of it because your brain wasn't developed enough at that time. But you have experiences of seeing infants, of seeing newborns, and just look at the unbelievable 360-degree ball of light that a newborn is. That was you. You were in that state at one time. And then over time, as your senses developed, as your brain developed, as your consciousness started to process information from your external environment, you put aside your original programming and picked up your social programming and became the identity that you claim today. But you have never lost that original programming and that topography of potential. And it's always available, and it's never too late to pick up and work on the mountains of potential that were placed there by your Creator. Thank you. Be well.